now it's time to use that knowledge that we've gained from the inequality stuff and solve some problems based on it. So two smooth spheres of mass 3 kg and 4 kg move towards each other in a straight line with those speeds. They collide. The coefficient of restitution is E. Show that for the two spheres to move in opposite directions after the collision, E is greater than 1 over 27. Now I've said to you already, you put down your table, you get the principle of conservation of momentum, Newton's elastic law, and then get V1 and V2. And that's what I'd be starting with. Okay, so that's the bulk of the question done. It's now an analysis we have to do for the last sentence. Show that they move in opposite directions. So what we need to do is look at V1 and V2 and see, can we for sure say that one of them is definitely positive or definitely negative? And if you look at V1, V1 is minus 36e minus 1 over 7. The top has to be negative, the bottom is positive, so V1 is definitely negative. And that means that the 3 kg mass rebounds and will definitely go to the left. There's no other possibility there. The V1 is going to be negative, so the 3 kg rebounds. So the next thing then we want to do is see, does the 4 kg go to the right? So is V2 positive? And if you look at it, there's no way we can judge whether it's going to be positive or negative. And that's because depending on the value for E that we put in there, we could get a positive or a negative value. However, the question says, show that they move in opposite directions. So we want to show that, or we want to assume that V2 is positive. So we want to assume V2 is greater than 0. And if V2 is greater than 0, then 27e minus 1 over 7 is also greater than 0. And that's the step we're going to make to get that inequality. So again, once more, we know V1 is negative. If they're in opposite directions, V2 should be positive. So I'm going to leave the right-hand side of V2 be greater than 0. Okay. So I've said it again, the first star there, V1 is less than 0 because it can be written as minus multiplied by a positive term. So it travels to the left. For V2 to travel to the right, V2 must be greater than 0. So we leave the thing on the right-hand side of V2 to be greater than 0. And if that's greater than 0, it means that the top has to be positive because the bottom is definitely positive. Or you can just cross multiply and you get 27e minus 1 is greater than 0 by 7, which is 0. Rearrange the inequality to bring the minus 1 over. 27e is greater than 1. Divide under by the 27. E is greater than 1 over 27. And that's exactly what we're looking to show. All right, let's have a look at 17. So we have a smooth sphere P collides with Q, which is at rest. The coefficient of restitution is E. Find the speed of each sphere after the collision in terms of E. It's a very straightforward table. Principle of conservation of momentum, Newton's elastic law, solve the equations, get V2 and V1. Okay, you can pause that and check it there, but I'd ask you to do that question out. Now part 2 says find the condition to be satisfied by E in order that they move in opposite directions. So we need to look at V1 and V2 and ask ourselves, is there any of those we definitely know is positive or definitely know that's negative? And really what we're looking for is everything the same sign on the top or the bottom, right? And if we look at V2, the top there is plus 24, plus 24e all over plus 9. Everything is positive there, so it has to be travelling to the right. If that's travelling to the right and they rebound and go in opposite directions, V1 then has to be less than 0. So we're going to leave 24 minus 30e over 9 be less than 0, and that will answer part 2, which is the condition to be satisfied for the two spheres to move in opposite directions. Okay, that travels to the right. V1 should be less than 0, so that's our condition for rebound. Leave it equal to 0. You can cross multiply by the 9, and you get 24 minus 30e is less than 0. Bring over the minus 30e, divide under by the 30, and you get e is greater than 4/5. So if e is greater than 4/5, the thing will rebound, they'll travel in opposite directions. But if e is less than 4/5, they'll end up traveling in the same direction. Okay, one word of warning before I finish this video, and that is in the last step here, if you bring the 24 over, you'll have minus 30e is less than 24. And you'll have to multiply both sides by minus 1. And just remember, when you multiply an inequality by -1 or divide by a negative number, the direction of the inequality will change. So you might have minus 30e is equal to minus 24, but multiply across by -1 and you'll be left with 30e is greater than 24. Just watch out for the direction of the inequality.